Sonny Franzese was born in Naples, Italy on February 6, 1917. His parents had already immigrated to the United States at the time of his birth but were back in Italy for a visit. After 6 months, his family returned with Franzese to their home in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, where his father ran a bakery. His mother had given him the nickname Sonny at a young age. In the 1930s, Franzese worked under Joseph Profaci, boss of the Profaci crime family, later named the Colombo crime family. His first arrest came in 1938, for assault. In 1942, in the midst of World War II, he was drafted to the United States Army, but was discharged later that year classified as psychoneurotic with pronounced homicidal tendencies. Franzese operated out of New York City and New Jersey and was involved in racketeering, fraud, and loan sharking. He was also a regular at the Copacabana and met such stars as Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. on a frequent basis. He became a made man in 1950, and served in the crew of Sebastian Alloy, father of former Colombo family acting boss Vincenzo Alloy. He is believed to have been elevated to captain in the Colombo family in the mid-1950s by Profaci. By 1963, he had been promoted to underboss by boss Joseph Colombo. In 1967, Franzese gained a financial interest in a new recording company, Buddha Records. Franzese used the company to launder illegal mob earnings and to bribe disc jockeys with payola. He also infiltrated and began to make money through the owner of Calla Records, Nate McCalla, who was later murdered execution style in 1980. Some believe the hit was ordered by Morris Levy. He was accused of murdering Genovese crime family hitman turned informant Ernest Rupolo in 1964 on the orders of Vito Genovese. Rupolo was shot and stabbed several times before his feet were attached to 2 concrete blocks and his hands tied before being dumped into Jamaica Bay. He was arrested with 9 other people on April 13, 1966, and during his trial, the prosecution produced records that claimed that Franzese had killed between 30 and 50 people. Franzese was later acquitted of the murder. However, in 1967, Franzese was convicted in New York of masterminding a series of bank robberies and was sentenced to 50 years in prison at Leavenworth Penitentiary. In 1978, Franzese was released on parole but returned to prison in 1982 for a parole violation. In 1984, he was released on parole again, and until 2008, he was never charged with another crime, although he would return to prison on parole violations. After the 2004 incarceration of John Jackie de Ross, Franzese was again promoted to Colombo family underboss in 2005, for the first time since his 1967 imprisonment. However, in May 2007, Franzese was again returned to prison for a parole violation. In June 2008, Franzese, still incarcerated, was indicted on charges of participating in murders during the Colombo Wars of the early 1990s, as well as a long list of crimes dating up to 2006. On December 24, 2008, Franzese was released from the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. According to law enforcement, Franzese remained the official underboss of the Colombo family. Franzese's son, John Franzese Jr. became a government informant after minor drug charges against him. Franzese Jr. was allegedly also responsible for his father's 4th parole violation, but was accepted back into his confidence after denying the allegations in tears. In 2005, Franzese Jr. wore a wire around his father. John Franzese Jr. testified twice against his father. The last time his father attempted to have him killed, he later lived under witness protection. In 2010, Franzese Jr. admitted that he received $50,000 from the FBI as a cooperating witness. With the help of Franzese Jr.'s testimony, the 93-year-old senior on January 14, 2011, was sentenced to 8 years in prison for extorting 2 Manhattan strip clubs, running a loan shark operation and extorting a pizzeria on Long Island. Prosecutors had asked for a sentence of 12 years, while Franzese's lawyer asked for leniency based on a variety of ailments. He was eventually denied leniency. Franzese was released from the Federal Medical Center in Devens, Massachusetts, on June 23, 2017, at the age of 100. He was the oldest federal inmate in the United States and the only centenarian in federal custody at the time of his release. Franzese died in New York City, on February 24, 2020, aged 103. He was buried on February 28, at St. John's Cemetery following his funeral. Please like, comment and subscribe.